would like to thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
We just finished watching Gamak Ghar, and because we had a slight delay, so we had a very brief, like 5 minute where we internally discussed कि कितने लोगों के घरों का अभी ये हाल चल रहा है, and there are quite a few who related that way, and in a while I'm expecting there will be a lot of questions from the viewers from today, and starting off, I would like to thank you again. Haven't watched. This is the second time I'm watching it. First time I watched it in Mami, Mumbai, and in the second watch, it's more. I think I was more prepared for the subtleness of it because, as with the everyday life, the pace is not like the kind of material that you watch on an everyday basis. It's not like you have to adapt in a certain way to absorb this material more intensely, and it was a way more intense experience for me this time. So thanks again for that, and best of luck for your next film also. And opening up, I would like to open with a question, and then I would open the platform for everybody else.
Sorry. Before you start with the question, I'm gonna quickly give an introduction. Okay. So, hello everyone. Welcome to the first Q&A of Raipur Film Festival, Film Society. Sorry, soon coming Film Festival, and you just watched Gamak Ghar by Achal Mishra, DOP Anand Bansal. And Gamak Ghar was one movie which was premiered at Mami Mumbai Film Festival, as Ajay mentioned. And over there, just not only won hearts, but also the Manish Acharya Award for Best New Voices in Indian Cinema. So, and it also traveled around the globe. So, really doing well, getting all the claims from around the globe. So that was really nice. Anand and Achal also did make another film, which was again premiered at Mami Film Festival this year, which is called Dhuven. It's also getting a lot of noise in the market. It's traveling all around the globe. So really looking forward to watch that as well. And congratulations to both of you. And now, Ajay, back to you. You can start with the question.
Thanks for the introduction, Vishwadhar. So my question is with Achal. And so I wanted to ask you, ki, how did you, like, in generally, like, this is not specifically with Gamak Ghar, but generally, how do you, like, what is the process of an idea developing into a film and then the final film coming out for you? And us, like a substitute question along with it is that you seem to have found your voice quite early, I would say, because this is a very strong visual film where it is very unique to its own style. And also when I watched, I honestly just watched that one shot of Dhuven and I was like, "Hi, Achal ki film hai." It's the same feel that this film is going with. So how did you develop that, and how did you, like, what's the process basically behind your films?
I mean, I'm glad that you think so, because I mean, that's really the struggle. But I mean, it's not a very conscious thing that I'm striving to find a voice, so to say. And if I talk about the process, I think it's been different in both the Dhuin and Gamak, and completely different. I mean, there were hardly any similarities, so to say. So I can't really generalize my process or practice really. If I talk about Gamak, the idea was very simple in the beginning. It was as simple as, you know, the house was being renovated and we wanted to do something there, you know, and it started with maybe let's do a short film there, or, you know, something which is at least set in that house. So we have that house as a setting in a film. And from there, it just sort of snowballed into a feature film with, you know, I was discussing this story with a co-writer friend of mine, and we had all these different ideas and we started pulling them in, and I think it was also, the kind of films I was watching at that time, and just this sort of, we wanted to do something different narratively in a way. So like the initial discussions were to, have a narrative of some sort, whether to go with like, say, a child or a character or something like that. And then we thought, let's do neither of those. Let's just stay with the house, because that's the primary reason we want to make this film. So that's what we did, and the writing was again very, very different from a very traditional writing approach, because I only wrote the first part in the beginning. By first part I mean the 1998 bit, and I didn't know what the rest of the film would be like. And then we shot the first part, and then I wrote the next bit. So we were making like 3 short films over 1 year. I wrote the first part, and then all that was happening. Apart from that, I think more than the script, we were working visually. We were much sorted visually. So Anand came to Darbhanga much before the shoot. We spent a lot of time there, and more than the script, I think we used to carry around our storyboards. So we used to click, because like you see, the whole film is like still shots. It's just like photographs. So we clicked all those photographs first of what the shot's gonna be, and then we just recreated that while shooting. And then if I talk about Dhuin was much more impromptu, much more sudden. It just happened like that, and we wrote the script like 5 days, 10 days before the shoot, and it was again like it was a 5-page shoot, which ended up being a 50-minute film. So I mean, both the processes have been quite different. In Gamak, we had a lot of resources in terms of we could ask for light. We had lights coming in. We had a bigger camera. We had lenses, and we had chota sa crew, but we had a crew. But in Dhuin, it was literally just Anand, me, and our actor Abhinav. It was just like 3 of us and our own cameras, with which we click pictures, and no lights, no crew, nothing. So I mean, I can't even say that this is my process, because I'm still figuring that out really.
It seems like you are like.
So I can't hear you well.
I'm saying it seems like as much as like a person tries to write a new story, you are also looking for a new process every time you're open to that.
Yeah,
with every new film.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, man.
And
okay, so
can I go? Yeah, we can't hear you. You have to come in closer.
Okay, so hi Achal and hi Vishwanath, Harshal. And yeah, I have a question. I have 2 questions, like 3, I guess. So the first question was 1998 May or 2010 May or 2019 May, उसमें तीनों में aspect ratio change हुआ. So at first I was like कि ये film और digital का like 1998 और 2010 ये film और digital का transition दिखाने का like वो होगा attempt होगा, but I don't know, like the third one, it almost is shot like a I don't know, samurai film. So yeah, what was about that?
So I mean, Anand can maybe speak about it a bit. Anand is here.
I mean, we both can speak, but apart from the idea that the aspect ratio is just a change of time, it also, like we later realized, it works for the story better in the sense that I mean, right now you must be watching it on a projector, but एक बार जब theater screen में देखते हो तो the house sort of feels bigger and more isolated as the film progresses. And our idea initially was just to space out the characters a little more, and the idea came from the fact that we want to see the house bigger, but we ourselves realized that the impact of it was a lot more than we thought it would be in theaters especially. और उसके अलावा वो टाइम चेंज वाला तो था ही, मतलब, but that is a very basic thought.
See, I mean, there are things which sort of you think about, and then there are things which sort of work in retrospect, which you do, and then you realize this is how it's working. So the initial idea was like the first basic idea was that, you know, with changing times and changing seasons will do different aspect ratios. But I was also aware that this has been done before. This has been done in different films, and you know, the films we were watching as references, they had done it. And someone even like bigger films like, let's say, Wes Anderson, he's also done it too, you know, switch between aspect ratios when switching different time periods. But what was really more exciting and what worked in retrospect when we ourselves were watching the film at a PVR is that, you know, like a PVR screen is a complete cinemascope, you know, it's there pura. So in a PVR, our film starts like this, then it goes this, and then it goes this. So when you get to the end part, you realize you were not being shown the full picture, you know, in the beginning. You were only shown, you know, the nice memories and, you know, like that. So that was one thing. And it just what's exciting is it was just one location, and then how the association of the audience and audience changes with changing the aspect ratio. You know, the space feels different in the different ratios, you know. Suddenly in the end the space feels much bigger, but there's like hardly any characters there. And in the first part, when you're not seeing the complete thing, it's all filled, and you know, it feels very crowded, so to say.
Okay, so my second question would be, like okay, so first I should say, but I watched Dune last, I guess, 2 months ago, and in Mami, and I loved it, and I was like, he can't top this. So as मैंने गमक घर पहली बार देखी, I was like, okay, he topped it. So yeah, thank you for that. And so and like my question would be, I really liked I really liked how you portrayed patriarchy, like very subtly, in at least जैसा नहीं कि मार रहे हैं काट रहे हैं and all. So there was this scene जहाँ पर वो उसकी प्रेग्नेंट बीवी से बात करते रहता है, और खाना खाने के बाद वो हाथ धो के वो बिना प्लेट उठाए चल देता है, and I really liked it. So when you wrote it, did it come organically या आपने कुछ इसमें extra add किया? It happens with all of us. सबके घर का कहानी है, तो
yeah.
I don't know.
I'll come to that. First of all, you said, I mean, because you saw Dhwin first and then you saw Gamak. So
Yeah,
I mean, for you, it's good that, you know, I could, you know, sort of surprise you. But I mean, for me, it's not good news. No, maybe that I've come from Gamak to Dhwin, which. But anyway, sorry. Yeah, obviously that was there, but we were sort of, you know, constantly exercising a lot of. I mean, me as a writer was constantly exercising a lot of restraint as well, where, you know, I have to sort of stay objective as well, and see a bigger picture rather than, you know, focusing more on individual stories. Because अगर वो करता तो मतलब बहुत स्कोप था और चीजों का भी, बट उतने में ही जितना थोड़ा बहुत कर पाए ना, जो दूर से ही देख के समझ आ जाए, उनमें से वो चीज थी. So obviously it was planned and it was in a way organic, because it is something which I have seen in that very house over the years, you know. So yeah, if that answers.
Hi, it's my turn to pester you. Really loved watching your work, so kudos to that. First of all, I have to say every frame was so beautiful. Like I kept thinking ki her frame is just as good as the previous one, and it was so aesthetically eye-pleasing, irrespective of what timeline and what was going on. So my first thought, and you've touched upon it already, but I still want it to get more limelight, I would say. I kept thinking ki I had come to this viewing without knowing much about your work or the premises of the film or what was gonna, like I didn't have expectations. So throughout I was like, यार इनका central character एक घर है या एक setting है, या इनका backdrop इनका main focus है. And I kept thinking as a creative visualizer, जब आपने ये vision रखा होगा, how is your creative process different as opposed to say having a real hero protagonist as a like a human form जिसकी story चल रही है, as opposed to a village, a ghar, a scene. And then by the end of the film, it all did translate to a human emotion. Like I did feel more isolated within myself, and I felt a little more calm within myself, like कुछ छूट रहा है या कुछ छूट गया है. So ऐसा नहीं है that inanimate central character didn't translate to human emotions. But I want you to talk about your creative process and how does it differ as a visualizer when you have a central character in human form as opposed to like a backdrop that's in limelight.
I mean, Dhuin has a central character, Dhuin has a hero, so to say. But I mean, the creative sort of process doesn't really change that much apart from, what the crew is really thinking and what, how much they trust you. Because in Gamak, it was quite a challenge to, make people realize what the film is. I mean, I remember in the very beginning, it was just Anand and I who were very excited that we are doing this. Obviously, we were also scared and we had our own doubts that there's no character. But uske alawa koi aur samajh hi nahi pa raha tha. They were like, what's happening? I mean, especially the first schedule. The actors would come to me and they would be like, कि अच्छा ये तो अभी आपने establishing wide लिया, अब आप over the shoulder वाला shot लोगे ना हमारा. मैंने बोला नहीं, this is it. This is, so all these things were happening and it was quite out of sync in the beginning, so I think that is more important than anything else. So, and then I remember after the first, we had total of 4 schedules. So after first schedule, and Gamak was a film which sort of relied on people coming back after every few months to, complete all the schedules. Or first schedule इतना ऐसा गया कि लगा नहीं था कोई दोबारा आएगा. So after the first schedule, I ended up making a small edit of, what the film is going to look like, what it is, what we are shooting. And then people started sort of getting a sense of it and getting an idea कि क्या बना रहे हैं हम ना. तो उसके बाद I think it was much more smooth, but obviously we still didn't feel how it will translate to a real audience, because while you're making it, you still don't have that objectivity. And that only happened again in retrospect when we were showing the film to the audiences in Mumbai and elsewhere, and and then I started realizing that because the film also gives the audience I wouldn't say a breathing space, but it's not like there's no story you have to sort of actively follow. So it gives you time to go into your own thoughts and make your own associations, and that's something I realized that was also happening with the kind of films I was watching, especially from Taiwan and Japan, and they give you that space, and that's why it's a very it's somewhere in the middle where you are also getting the story. The film is sort of meeting you halfway there. You're not, it's not coming to you completely, or you not have to go to it completely. It's just it's like a midway, so I think that is something which was working, that distance, yeah. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So at any point did you feel like किसी character को मैं ज़्यादा footage ना दे दूँ, like किसी character की story ज़्यादा भारी ना हो जाए, and then all characters have to equally be important and also not so important. Like, did you have that fear कि ये वाले angle पे कहीं ज़्यादा भार ना आ जाए as opposed to the central idea?
I think वो सबसे बहुत initial discussions में ही था ये वाला discussion कि किसी character के, because what's also exciting for me being a filmmaker is not knowing things initially, and while making Gamak, if I had gone with a character, I would know sort of where the story would go and how so वो मेरे लिए पहले ही solve हो जाता है, and there would be sort of no excitement for me then. So it was more exciting to sort of go with this approach. And वो बहुत मतलब जब सोच ही रहे थे तो इतना आसान लग रहा था कि हाँ बच्चे वाला perspective तो बहुत ही it's been done so many times ना, so I could imagine the film that this is going to be there, we are looking at this world from a child's perspective, then there's birth, there's death, and there's he's growing up and all that. So वो तो initial discussions में से ही वो हो गया था कि we are not going with any character. But उसके बाद एक जो डर था और जो मतलब ये था कि I don't end up showing my character more than the others probably. ठीक है, so that I think I tried and वो थोड़ा बहुत ही दिखता है. So yeah. But thankfully Guddu became a good link. I mean, we had to go थोड़ा सा तो अगर किसके पास जाना था तो that was Guddu who stayed till the very end. Yeah.
That's all for me. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, Achal, आपको, पूरी टीम को, और वंडरफुल एक एक्सपीरियंस रहा. हम रेशियो की बात कर रहे थे. मुझे फिल्म के पहले शॉट के बाद से ये मेरा ध्यान जाना शुरू हुआ कि एक फिल्म जो ऐसी शुरू हो रही है जिसमें कैमरा मूवमेंट बिल्कुल नहीं है. यूं मूवमेंट बिल्कुल नहीं है, कहने का मतलब कहीं कैमरा टिल्ट या पैन नहीं हो रहा है. फिक्स फ्रेम कैमरा है, एक फ्रेम फिक्स कर दिया गया और उसमें जो चीजें देखी जा रही हैं, जो दिख रही हैं, उस तरह से वो देखी जा रही हैं. और मुझे ऐसा लगा कि मैं उसे इस तरह से देखता हूँ, या कहना चाहूंगा कि जो मिश्रा जी हैं, जो अब नहीं है, जो उस घर में थे, वो दरअसल में उस घर की सोल है, उसकी आत्मा है. वो ड्रामेटिस्ट थे, वो नाटक किया करते थे. तो उनके जो क्रिएटेड ड्रामा है, उनके जो क्रिएटेड पात्र हैं, वो अपना रोल प्ले कर रहे हैं उस घर में. वो घर है, वो स्टेज है. और सबसे खास बात तो यह है कि अगर इस फिल्म को, पता नहीं, मुझे इस फिल्म टेक्निक का बहुत अभ्यास तो नहीं है, थोड़ा दर्शक जरूर हूं मैं, लेकिन मैं ये कह सकता हूं कि एक अगर डॉक्यू फीचर जैसी कोई फिल्म की विधा होती हो, क्योंकि इस फिल्म में कहीं ऐसा नहीं लगता कि ये स्क्रिप्टेड और प्लान्ड फिल्म है. ये लगता है कि कोई चीजें हो रही हैं और एक कैमरामैन या एक आदमी देखने को पहुंच गया है और वो उसे देख रहा है. तो जो देख रहा है, इसीलिए बहुत ज्यादा चीजों में मूवमेंट नहीं है, वो शांत स्थिर ढंग से देख रहा है. लगातार ये फिल्म में जो समझ में आती है बात, और वो होता भी ऐसा है कि फिल्म में दरअसल कुछ भी घट रहा है, वो घटना की तरह नहीं घट रहा है, वो स्वाभाविक की तरह घट रहा है. उसमें कोई ऐसी हलचल नहीं है कि उसे कोई बहुत बड़ी घटना मान ली जाए. और ठीक जैसा मैं कह रहा हूँ कि वो मिश्रा जी जो नाटककार हैं, वो उसमें नहीं है, लेकिन उनकी नाटक, उनके पात्र, उनकी आत्मा वहां उस घर में बस रही है. और आखिर में जब वो तस्वीर निकाली जाती है, तो दरअसल उस घर से अब उनकी आत्मा भी हट गई है. अब उसमें वो कुछ भी नहीं रहा है जो उस घर में होना चाहिए. तो दरअसल अब उस घर के टूट जाने का ही औचित्य रह गया है. अब उसके पुनर्निर्माण का ही वक्त है, ऐसा मुझे लगता है. लेकिन जितने मैं आपको शुभकामना देने वाला था कि आपसे कोई बहुत बड़े काम की उम्मीद है, लेकिन मुझे लगा कि वो तो शुभकामना के लिए मैंने देर कर दी है, आपने तो बहुत सारा अचीव कर लिया है.
नहीं.
लेकिन मैं ये मानता हूं कि जिस तरह के स्थिर होकर और जिस तरह से प्रयोग करने का एक साहस, अपना एक कॉन्फिडेंस होता है कि आप जो कर रहे हैं, मैं कैमरा मूवमेंट नहीं करूंगा, मैं कैमरा फिक्स रखूंगा. ये बहुत बड़ा एक डिसीजन होता है फिल्म मेकिंग में. या ये कोई भी डायलॉग ऐसा नहीं लगता कि कोई भी कैरेक्टर कोई पढ़ा हुआ, सीखा हुआ, याद किया हुआ कोई उसमें डायलॉग बोल रहा है. इवन जब डायलॉग बोल रहा है, कैमरा पीछे से आ रहा है, तो एक आदमी जहां से देख रहा है, ये सारी चीजों के साथ ये ऐसा लगता है कि एक अपनी सोच को जिस शांत और स्थिर ढंग से आप स्टैब्लिश कर पाते हैं, तो ये आपकी जो पूंजी है, वो पूंजी इसमें तो दिखाई पड़ी है. लेकिन मैं मानता हूं कि जल्दी ही इससे और बहुत सारी बड़ी अचीवमेंट्स आपको होंगी. तो आप कह सकते हैं कि ना मैं कोई सवाल के लिए, ना कोई क्रिटिसिज्म के लिए, बल्कि मैंने इस फिल्म में क्या समझा और क्या देखा और आपके लिए मैं क्या उम्मीद पाल रहा हूँ, बस इसी के लिए मैं आपसे बात कर रहा हूँ। अगेन कांग्रेचुलेशंस।
थैंक यू सो मच, बहुत सुंदर बोला आपने, थैंक यू।
Anand, my question to you, like he touched upon low camera
Yes.
movements, like how even Shilpa said, like your frames are very much like a painting, like it's very poetic in a way. So how was your approach to framing this movie?
Yeah, I think approach came from the point where me and Achal both met for the first time, and he sort of said that he wants it to feel like a photo album of a family. And from there on, I think we were both very sure that the camera shouldn't move. It just arises from there. And I think उसी gut feeling पे फिर बाद में हम stick किए throughout the film.
Achal, my question towards you will be, I read that you were the director, writer, but also the producer and the editor for the film. So was that something, this was planned or it just so happened? Was this a conscious decision from your end कि मेरे को ऐसा करना है कि it just, what was that like? How was that experience like? Doing so many roles, playing so many roles at.
I mean, उससे पहले तो और ज्यादा सब कैमरा भी उससे पहले मैं करता था, तो मतलब it was like कि I haven't known any other way. So I mean, going forward, I mean, editing is something I still love doing, so that is something I might continue doing. Writing, obviously. Producing is something I'm realizing I'm not very good at. So that is something I can ask someone else to do. But बाकी चीजों में तो मजा आता है. So I mean, even if you see Dhuin, I edited that also, and I was one of the writers. So it was never. I mean, it's beach का कुछ. It's not like कि ऐसे ही प्लान किया कि यही मेरे को करना है, मैं ही एडिटर हूँ, मैं करूँगा, ऐसा भी नहीं था. But it's all very natural and organic in a way, ना कि while I'm directing, while we are shooting, I'm also thinking of it in terms of the edit, as an editor. And the producer is mainly because I'm doing this in Darbhanga, which is my hometown, and we were doing this in our own village, in my own house there, na? So that's where being a producer is very convenient. If I was making this, let's say in Bombay, Delhi, or anywhere else, I couldn't have been the producer. Had I been the producer, I couldn't have focused on the shoot at all. But being in Darbhanga, in that space, and surrounded by people from my village and my family, I could have been like, I could have produced anything there, so it's that convenient for me. So yeah, I mean, both Dhuin and Gamak, both we've done there, so that's why I could have been a producer there. Can't be a producer in Bombay. I can't be a producer anywhere else. Editor, I'll continue to be, and writer also, definitely.
That's great to hear. Back to people at Raipur.
Out of questions and yes, hello. Okay.
Hello, so hi, this is Priya.
Hi.
हम काफी अर्से से जब से बातचीत करें आपकी सारी फिल्म देखने के बाद में, तो हम जानते हैं कि फिक्स कैमरा वर्क पे बातचीत हुई, स्टिल फ्रेम्स पे बातचीत हुई है. पूरी फिल्म देखने के दौरान एक चीज जो मैं समझ पा रहा था कि कोई भी स्टिल जो आप दिखा रहे हैं स्क्रीन पे, उसकी लेंथ जो है, मान लीजिए 30 सेकंड, 45 सेकंड या 50 सेकंड की, तो उसके साथ कुछ एसेंस आपने सोचा हुआ था कि एक पर्टिकुलर फ्रेम स्क्रीन पे कितनी देर रहेगी तो एसेंस आ पाएगा, उसका कुछ फिक्स आपने टाइम फ्रेम सेट किया था, कुछ दिमाग में था कि इतनी देर तक फिल्म दिखाने से लोग कनेक्ट ज्यादा बिल्डअप कर पाएंगे?
हाँ, डेफिनेटली. मतलब वो स्टार्टिंग से ही था कि एक ओवरऑल फिल्म के रिदम के सेंस में भी, और फिल्म के अंदर हम क्योंकि एक दिन देख रहे हैं, तो उस दिन के रिदम के कंटेक्स्ट में भी, कि वो दिन जो कैसे बीत रहा है, हम किस वक्त आएगा ये वाला सीन, उसके टर्म्स पे भी वो होता था. तो बट शूट हम हमेशा मतलब कर लेते थे, पूरा ही करते थे, मतलब हमेशा जितना जरूरत है उससे ज्यादा ही करते थे, क्योंकि आइडिया शुरुआत से यही था कि हम लोग, क्योंकि कोई कहानी नहीं है, कोई स्टोरी नहीं है, तो हमें इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं देना है बस, ठीक है. तो अगर कोई चापाकल तक चलता, मतलब हैंडपंप तक चलता हुआ जा रहा है, तो मतलब उसमें सिर्फ ये इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं है कि वो हैंडपंप तक चलता हुआ जा रहा है, या फिर कुछ भी, मतलब कहीं और किसी भी शॉट में है. तो ये स्टार्टिंग से एस्टैब्लिश था. फिर उस पर ज्यादातर जो काम हुआ है वो एडिटिंग में हुआ है, कि फिल्म जैसे जैसे आगे बढ़ रही है ना, अगर आप देखेंगे तो फर्स्ट पार्ट में शॉट्स छोटे हैं, ठीक है, जो 1998 है, और फिर सेकंड पार्ट में थोड़े लंबे होते हैं और थर्ड पार्ट में वो और स्ट्रेच हो जाते हैं। तो वो एक कॉन्शियसली किया था, बट वो फर्स्ट पार्ट में भी अगर आप देखेंगे ना और प्यास से, तो मतलब फर्स्ट पार्ट में भी किसी पॉइंट पे वो रुक जाते हैं, फिर वो शॉट्स लंबे हो जाते हैं और किसी पॉइंट पे सडनली पिकअप कर जाते हैं। तो जैसे शुरुआत हुआ है तो धीरे धीरे हम लोग फिल्म में घुसते हैं, मतलब पहले शॉट्स लंबे हैं, फिर धीरे धीरे मतलब जब वो आम के बगीचे जाते हैं तो थोड़ा सा पेस अलग होता है, फिर उसके बाद फिल्म थोड़ी सी रुक जाती है जब दिन का मतलब वो पोस्ट लंच वाला जो समय होता है, और फिर उसके बाद जैसे ही शाम होती है तब आप देखेंगे कि शॉट्स का लेंथ और छोटा हो गया, तो फिर पेस पकड़ लेती है फिर फिल्म। ठीक है, तो इस तरीके से भी कोशिश की थी, मतलब लेंथ को अगर छोटा बड़ा करके कि कैसे मतलब रिदम कैसे फील होगा इस तरीके से ना। तो ये तो मतलब हाँ शूट से ही था हमारा ना। आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही, सॉरी।
मुझे म्यूट तो नहीं कर दिया?
नहीं
आवाज आ रही है मेरी?
हाँ आवाज आ रही है।
I was only appreciating the candid work that you did. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. जिस तरीके से सारा पुल ऑफ हुआ था, और रिव्यूज मैंने सुन रखे थे, एक्सपेक्टेशन थोड़ी बहुत तो थी कि फिल्म इस तरीके की होगी, लेकिन जब पूरा विजुअली इसको देखा तो आई एम स्टन्ड कि इस तरीके से पूरी प्रोसेसिंग हुई है। Many congratulations, wishing you all the very best for next screening as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for letting us this movie. Thank you for letting us show this movie. इतना आसानी से
Thank you.
देता नहीं है ये।
Thank you for showing the film there.
And हाँ यार, रायपुर में भी आके एक फिल्म बना दो. I think a lot of people will be very up to support you here.
अजय तुम क्या करोगे फिर?
तो मैंने एक्चुअली बना ली है।
नहीं यार, अकेले नहीं बना सकते यार फिल्में. I need more people here.
I'm actually doing a documentary on Vinod Kumar Shukla.
Okay.
So I've actually shot Raipur में 2 बार अभी पिछले महीने.
Oh nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
Great. So it's already started then.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.